Heifers, and welcome to Angus IT, the podcast all about anxiety, depression, and today it's about, I'm sorry, hold on, let me check my phone. Is that, like 50 unread text messages? It is. Oh, that is my bad. Yeah, we're going to talk about leaving people unread. If you don't know, that's when you open up a text and people have the notifications to see if you've looked at a text or not. You don't respond. They just see that you read it. You never respond, and it's a very intense situation for the other person, and that's being left unread. It's about not picking up texts and responding immediately. It's about all that fun, mostly like texting and messaging in DMs on social media. That's kind of the vibe we're taking on. I went on a rant a couple episodes ago about the idea of instantly having to message someone back. It was a pretty beefy rant. And then I was like, wait, hold please. This is an episode for something else. But now is the time that it gets its own episode. Congratulations, side tangent. You finally made it. You made it to the big leagues. You get to be your own episode. I am of the opinion that a lot of social media and texting and all that stuff has been set up by companies so that we want the instant dopamine, but then we also feel the need to instantly respond or do some sort of action so that we get caught up in a cycle of instantly responding and doing to 3 different things happening, that we end up in an endless cycle of constantly using their apps and stuff. If we didn't text, we wouldn't need nice little iPhones. We could just go back to our little Motorola's and send the occasional text by hitting a number 3 times until you got to the correct letter for each number. And if you have no idea what I mean, just don't let it happen. Go to a museum maybe and you'll learn something about it. Oh God. They want us to use the technology, and it's great. We can talk to so many people. We can talk to people, our loved ones who live far away. We can meet new people online and get to chat with them, and hopefully they aren't murderers. It's a great way to get connected with everybody. But at the same time, there is this culture of being left unread, and it's a lot easier for people to ghost these days. And I'm not necessarily opposed to ghosting. And if you don't know, that's when you just randomly disappear mid-conversation online, virtual. When I say online, I'm going to count text too, because I know it's not like the internet, but it's just whatever. We're lumping it all in to a beautiful stew. I think in certain situations, ghosting someone is fine. Like if someone's being trashed to you on the internet, why do you need to engage? You don't. I think if you're on a dating app and the conversation's like, not really going anywhere, and there's no expectation, sometimes just a slow fade away is okay. I am someone who does not like to do that with a lot of things. I actually like to say something because it does feel rude and it does leave the other person kind of going like, what? But I think there are certain situations where it's kind of socially acceptable, or it's just for the greater preservation of one's self. But because of this fear of ghosting, we're also afraid of being left unread. It's the same as if you just said, I love you to someone, and then they just stared at you and didn't say anything for a very long and awkward amount of time. You start to be like, I don't know if we're on the same page right now. And like, I can't delete what I just said. Like it's said to you, you've seen it, but you're not responding. And I don't know what that means. I think that's a totally fair thing to feel. It's really awkward when you ask something and then somebody just doesn't respond, but they saw it. However, I'm about to rock the boat and say that I think it's okay to leave people unread as long as you have the intention of responding at some point. Now, there's going to be a lot of exceptions to the rule, but on the whole, I think that the whole chaos and circus of having to immediately respond to every single thing that comes your way is overwhelming. How are you supposed to focus on anything else in your life if you're having to be a machine and crank out responses left and right to everybody? And it sucks because these are people who you're probably friends with. But sometimes if I'm walking my dog, I just want to be walking my dog, and I'll see text and I'll open it up so I can read it, but I'm not going to immediately stop all the time and respond, because if I did, I wouldn't really get to go on my walk with my dog. I would just be staring at my phone while I take a few steps and then don't pay attention to really anything around me at all. Not to say I won't have fun conversations with my friends through text and do that. That's fine. But if I respond to everything because I feel like I have to in that moment, I don't think it's healthy. And I personally don't think it's great for the mental health. I used to get very stressed about receiving texts, because texting, in a way, it's nice because you can edit what you're going to say. You can see it before you send it, instead of just doing whatever kind of word salad might pop out of your mouth in real life. That being said, you can perfect it, couldn't you? And you could just stare at it all the time, edit it, send it, and then overthink while you wait for the other person to respond. And there's so many reasons why people may not be able to respond. They get busy. They fall asleep. They're watching a movie. They're driving. There's just a lot of reasons why people may not respond to you as soon as possible. But when you're anxious, you start to think of all the reasons why they aren't doing it in a way where it's all because you suck and they don't like you and you overstepped a boundary and you were weird and awkward and you regret ever having texted them asking if they want to hang out or whatever it was. And then you're just sitting on your phone and you check it 2 times per minute. And that might sound ridiculous. You might be like, that's crazy. But I would highly recommend getting a piece of paper and choosing a handful of apps and seeing how often you check them and then put down the time, because I think we think a lot more time passes between each app refresh and check, but it's not according to my statistics, and I consider myself someone who's a little more removed from her phone than most people. So do that if you want to feel depressed. Happy to help. There are a lot of reasons. Someone may not be responding, but it almost feels like because of that, a lot of people do get a little accusatory, so then you're afraid at the same time to not respond immediately or to open a message, right? You'll get the notification and it'll be like, hey, Bob, I think that we really need to talk about, and then you can't see any more from the preview, perhaps, or maybe you don't even have the preview text options set up. So you just see you received a message from Janice, who's scary. Or you'll get the full text in a notification, but you're not going to open it so it doesn't look like it's on read. But then you have all these annoying little notifications saying that you have this text message you haven't opened, and maybe you've got 4 at the same time. And I get a little urgent scared when I see notifications building up like that, which they want you to feel so that you can get rid of them and feel the high of it, right? But I don't like it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, well, if I open one, though, I'm going to have to immediately respond, and I don't know how I want to respond. And I think this happens a lot when people try to make plans. This is where it gets a little gray, little on both sides. I think you shouldn't ignore people. I think people deserve responses. However, I'm of the opinion that if you needed an immediate response and it was urgent, you would call me. And if you're too scared to call me, then we probably aren't that close and it's not as big of a deal. It's not an emergency. So most likely you're asking me something that's not an emergency. And then, some people, and I'm just using me as an example, weeded out a lot of negative people in my life that would kind of abuse the stuff I'm talking about. Emotional manipulative people who love to take over every aspect of your life and make you question it in regards to things such as being left on read. You better not ignore my message, or I'm going to talk down to you the entire time we're at this event and basically make you feel like a piece of shit. So that's where I'm like, you should respond to people, but if you've got bullies who are pretending to be your friend or things like that, then that requires a different strategy. I'm just talking about acquaintances and other people who might offer you up a plan. And if you're an anxious individual, you might get overwhelmed by these offers of socialization for many reasons. You might be a little stressed about what the socialization is. Is it a party? Okay, how are you feeling? If you're not feeling on your game, maybe that sounds stressful. So you're going back and forth on the idea of like, is it better to make yourself go and, probably realize you will have fun? Or is this one of those moments where you need to listen to your body and chill? I know for me, that's always been the big question. Sometimes it's been the right answer to make myself go out and remind myself, hey, I enjoy this. And other times it's been the right answer to turn it down. So I feel you there. But clearly that's a big thing you need to think about, and maybe not something you want to respond to immediately. Opening it up, responding within a minute. I mean, that doesn't give yourself a lot of time to think it through, to, again, consider those things where maybe it would be better for you to not go. Or you don't want to regret saying something and then you feel weird. You don't want to back out of a plan once you've made it. So I feel like it's okay to read a text and then just take a sec to respond. And I believe that if anybody in your life gets really actually mad at you for doing this. Now, again, if it's something a little more on the urgent side and you've read it, you should probably respond, even if it's just, hey, let me check my calendar, or yeah, I just need to figure out a few things first. I'll get back to you. Just let people know that you've seen it and acknowledge it and that you're working on it. I think that's a really good thing. But if you ever have anyone in your life who starts to shit on you because you aren't meeting their every whim and need and responding immediately when they demand it to be so, get them out of your life. That is not someone you want around, because I guarantee if they're doing that to you through texting and messaging, they're probably doing this to you in other aspects of your life. And you are your own person, and we each have our own personalities. Some people are the people who don't text you for 3 days. What do you learn from that? You don't text them. You call them, or you find another way of communicating with them, or you don't try to make last minute plans. You try to set stuff a week in advance or something. As much as we would love to control other people, we can't. And we shouldn't try to either. So if someone's trying to control you, think about what their intentions are. Some people are there to help. Maybe you haven't been responding to texts and it's because you're depressed and overwhelmed. And that's not good either. That's not good. These are friends trying to help you. And maybe, if they start calling you and stuff, it's okay, you're right. You're texting me. I know that for my mental health, it would be better to talk to y'all. I get a little overwhelmed by all the texts, something like that. I've been very fortunate. I don't really have that issue. I used to take forever to text people back, probably because I didn't have a phone that could text until my senior year of high school, I think. And I didn't have a smartphone until my junior year of college. And I went to college definitely during the time when everyone had smartphones, when they were in 8th grade or something. So I was very behind the times. And so texting had just not been a part of my life for a very long time. And I just didn't really get it or care about it that much. I was very excited to finally get it. But then I became immediately anxious about it because I was like, oh gosh, do I want to go study tonight? I don't know. And a lot of it was anxiety on my end, but I thought, oh my gosh, I have to immediately respond to this. I probably need to say yes to everything. Now I need to keep it's not like I was lying to people, but I suddenly was like, wow, there's all these receipts on me now. I better not mess up, which is nothing was going on. But when you get anxious, you kind of just, your mind goes to all different kinds of places. I'm a lot better at responding to people now because, again, I've weeded out the people where I felt like there was so much pressure to respond to them so quickly because I was afraid of pissing them off. And I realized if I'm so afraid of pissing people off in my life like that, I don't want to spend my life tiptoeing around people if I'm worried about them exploding in a rage. Why would I want that? So I've gotten a lot better at responding to people because I like them. Yay. I do have these, I have a group of friends though, and we respond to each other once every 3 days or every week, but we know that's our gig and we're not mad at each other for it. That's just how we function. So I think a lot of this too is just understanding what's your relationship with the texter. Are they going to be okay that you haven't responded, or that they've opened it and they don't respond maybe for a month? Because I've also had that happen, and I've done it as well with these friends, but we're fine. And then we catch up on a FaceTime call or something. So I think just establishing your own kind of rules. You don't have to sit down and be here are the rules of our texting relationship, but you can kind of start to feel it out and be okay, when I text my buddy, they take a while to respond back. And that's a pattern. And I shouldn't take it personally. And that's okay. Another branch off from this idea, exception. I know a lot of this requires some inferring on the people in your life, but another thing is if people don't make time for you, then why should you make time for them? This is also wobbly. Mental health withstanding. When we're depressed and anxious, we retreat sometimes. So I'm not saying that because you may have retreated from talking to your friends and everything that you're a bad friend, you're going through something. And I would highly recommend you go talk to a therapist and that you at least choose 1 or 2 good friends that you can talk to kind of, figure out what's going on, work through it, or, whatever you need to do. I'm not a professional, but I'm just saying, I think you should talk to your buddies, your support system. So you're not a bad friend if you do that. Let's go on this side tangent now. This is all over the place. I'm sorry. I went in my backyard and did something and I have these burning skin patches and it's not cute. And I'm actually in moderate severe pain as I've been recording this entire episode because it's my life and that's just how things are going lately. Who would have foreseen mysterious red stinging patches? I think I touched something that was very, very angry and it burns. It burns so badly. Anyway. This is obviously where it gets wobbly. You're not a bad friend if you're very depressed and you're not able to respond to everybody, but you should still try to respond to the really close people. Keep human contact. It's good. That aside, if you keep trying to maintain some kind of relationship or, you always text this person, they don't really ever text you back to do plans. You message them, they message you back occasionally. They leave you on read, and then in real life, they're also leaving you on read, if you catch what I'm saying. They just kind of blow you off, and then you find out that they did something else with somebody else that definitely was last minute planned and not set a couple weeks ago or something. They can be nice people. Maybe you don't rely on them as much. You don't have to cut everybody out of your life. Some people are just a little more flaky than others, and that's okay. Just don't put all your eggs in their basket. Mostly because it'd be weird to walk up to somebody and start putting, if you started putting eggs in their basket. Be a little confusing. It'd be like the world's lamest Easter egg hunt. But don't try to get stressed when they leave you on red, because that's what they do. And then maybe they make plans with you and they fall through or whatever, and it comes through in the texts as well. Then just don't clear your weekend for them. Don't do all these other things. You can still be nice to each other. You can still enjoy their company, but you just don't rely on them in that way. And I think you'll be a lot happier. And then kind of circling back to the main point of this is that I think we should be allowed to leave people on red just for a little bit so we can figure things out. I tend to be doing a lot of different things. If someone texted me right now, I'm recording. I'm not going to respond. And if people get pissy about that, they need to do something else with their life. This is not the end all be all. I do not exist to cater to your every need. I'm not your immediate chat response robot. We're all human beings and we all have other things to do. And I don't want to be glued to my phone all the time. I want to be able to have a chance to think something through before I respond. Possibly. I might see your text and then laugh and then genuinely forget to acknowledge that it was funny. But for the most part, I'm reliable and responding or something. But I personally think we need to stop stressing ourselves on being left on red because you can't control that. And that'll just eat away at you. And life is already stressful. We don't need to add to it. I kind of think red receipts are fake in that sense anyway, because we all avoid opening the text, right? So it's it hasn't popped up as read, but there's a very decent chance that you already know that the person has read the text. They're just holding on opening it so that you don't see that they haven't read it yet, or that they have read it. I said the same word so many times and my skin is burning, guys. It's a lot. I think you get what I'm saying. Not everything in life is instantaneous. It's not always you hit send, it goes. You open the email, there it is. You press the button, we're automatically there. There are a lot of moments that are kind of slow and sometimes agonizing. And I think that we need to try to not do that in addition to all that shit already. I think that if you let go of the idea that someone is purposely trying to fuck with you by leaving you unread, I think you'll be a lot happier. You'll be so much happier. And I am going to say something controversial. I don't really do it a lot either. Luckily, it hasn't really come up in my life. But if there's something that you would be really stressed to know if someone responded immediately or not, I would recommend not doing it through text. Maybe try to do it in person, which is scary, but you would get your response immediately. Otherwise, you need to just accept that you're going to send that thing and then it's in their hands. Do they ever open the text? Do they open it and not respond? Will they respond positively? Negatively? Holding on hope. You have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe they open the text and they're like, oh, wow, this is big. I need to think about this. I wouldn't want an immediate response to something super big. I mean, I'd want to hear their answer sooner rather than later. But if it's something of that big of a nature, I'd rather they have a second to think it through before just knee-jerk reacting and saying whatever's there just because they feel the pressure of leaving me on red and me knowing that they looked at it. That's the other thing. I don't want people just to talk to me out of urgency. Just talk to me because you want to talk to me. I think that sometimes can gear more of the like superficial relationships in our lives, the more shallow ones where we're not sure what other people are thinking and stuff. But I've just decided to kind of say, fuck it. I know that I'm a polite person. I know that I will say things like, hey, I just need to give this a quick think over. I'll respond to you soon. Like those vibes. So I let them know I did receive it. I read it and I'm thinking about it. And that's why I'm not responding. You know, I do that shit and I know that it's like, I know who I am. And then I just do whatever I want. And it has been very freeing, guys. Don't let the phone dictate you. Everything about it has done that for you and is trying to do it. But you can stand up and say, fuck you to read receipts and just do your own damn thing. Why do people with iPhones hate Androids so much? Because they can't see that they've read the message. How fucked up is it that you are so terrified to talk to people if you can't see that they read the text for very basic conversations? Isn't that weird? I think that's weird. I think it's also weird that we hate it because the color is green instead of blue. I don't know. There's a lot that's weird to it. I also feel a little strange about it, but like I don't need to stare at the same conversation waiting for the little, oh, they've read the message thing to pop up and then stare longer as I hopefully wait for them to respond. That's not healthy. Why am I sitting around for that? Like, why do I need to I don't know. Read receipts can be very helpful. Don't get me wrong. Again, like I've said, there's a lot of this side, that side stuff that, I think it depends on your situation. But just on the whole, we need to not put that pressure on ourselves and we need to try to alleviate that stress. And I don't think that we should try to panic because of what other people want us to do, or better yet, what we think other people want us to do. Because in the end, it's not that big of a deal. Phones are not that big of a deal. You turn it off and it's just this plastic rectangle in your hand. It's that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. If you haven't turned your phone off in a while, just try it. Turn it off for a half hour and see how often you pick it up randomly to try to do something with it. It's a little depressing. But yeah, that's my old lady rant. I grew up in the age of the texting and stuff, and I just think there's a lot that's set up to make us feel less than or terrified and urgent. And just so many things in today's culture are just urgent, do this, hustle. And it's can I just do whatever I want? Just one thing. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Angus IT. I hope you don't leave me on red on my socials that didn't make sense. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AngusIT. That's Angus like the cow, I like the body part, and T like the drink. You can visit my website, www.angusit.com. I haven't uploaded it in like 4 months, so go take a look at that museum. You can email me at angusit@gmail.com. My DMs are always open. I love chatting with you. I wanted to thank y'all who reached out to me last week. And over the past couple of weeks, I have been feeling very down, if you could not tell from the past few episodes. And to be honest, your messages motivated me to make last week's episode and to keep going with this episode. I felt a resurgence. I was like, right, people listen to this and y'all are very nice. So genuinely thank you. I can't emphasize enough how wonderful and lovely and encouraging it was to hear from you and to hear your lovely, lovely words. Thanks, guys. I'm sure I have some other shit I normally say. I hope that you don't fucking break out into a random burning, stinging rash. I think there's a weird ass caterpillar that might have like left juices and I stuck my hand in it or something, but I am in agony and I just hope you don't. Period. I hope that your skin is beautiful and it's not dry and it's not on fire and you have happiness. Oh God. Okay. With that, I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, Heifers.